Welcome to Staffworks Explained. If you are here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. Also, hit the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you are notified. In this video, we'll be talking about the Tanzania agricultural trade dispute with Malawi and South Africa. Here, we are going to examine the recent trade dispute between Tanzania, Malawi, and South Africa over agricultural imports, its causes rooted in protectionism as well as economic rivalry, and the severe impacts this has on regional trade as well as small traders, and the eventual lifting of the Tanzania import ban to allow diplomatic dialogue, highlighting the need for better conflict resolution to protect African free trade goals. As the world continues or anxiously watches the escalating trade wars between the United States and China, conflicts that threaten to trigger a global economic crisis, a quieter but no less significant trade conflict has been simmering closer home among members of South African Development Community (SADC). A trade war recently unfolded between Tanzania and Malawi as well as South Africa, posing serious risk not just to the countries involved but the broader ambition of African economic integration under the African Continental Free Trade Area (AfCFTA). The dispute erupted earlier this week when Tanzania, in a dramatic overnight move, imposed an immediate ban on all agricultural imports from Malawi and South Africa. This decisive action was direct response to higher restrictions by both countries. In March, Malawi had blocked the importation of Tanzania agricultural goods, including flour, rice, ginger, bananas, and maize, citing the need to protect its local farmers from being overwhelmed by cheaper and often higher quality Tanzanian products. South Africa, for its part, has maintained a long-standing prohibition against the importation of Tanzanian bananas, a sore point that has festered quietly over the years. Tanzania Agriculture Minister Hussein Bashe defended the ban, stating that it was necessary to protect Tanzania traders and farmers from what he termed as unfair and harmful trade practices by neighboring countries. The retaliation was swift and severe, with Tanzania not only banning imports but also halting fertilizer exports as well as relief food to Malawi, a serious blow considering Malawi reliance on Tanzania fertilizer as well as port for its imports and exports. However, the ban was, in a significant and welcome development late this week, Tanzania announced it was lifting the ban on agriculture imports from Malawi and South Africa. Joseph Dunguru, director of the Tanzania Plant Health and Pesticide Authority, stated that the ban was lifted effectively immediately to facilitate a diplomatic ministerial discussion. According to the director, both Malawi and South Africa had separately reached out to Tanzania seeking a resolution through dialogue, prompting the reversal of the trade measures. In addition to reopening imports, Tanzania also lifted its export ban on fertilizer to Malawi. South Africa's Minister for International Relations and Cooperation, Ronald Lamola, welcomed Tanzania's move, emphasizing that the diplomatic route remains the most effective path for resolving challenges and highlighting the potential for cooperation and mutual understanding to unlock the shared opportunities. The dispute, though briefly intense, highlighted underlying tensions rooted in protectionism, economic rivalry, and political retaliation. Malawi's government insisted that its import restrictions were necessary to protect its struggling local farmers from cheaper foreign competition. South Africa continued refusal to accept Tanzania bananas has long been a point of resentment, particularly given the push across Africa to reduce trade barriers. At the heart of the tension lies deeper economic competition. Tanzania traders have been thriving in Malawi markets, with exports tripling between 2018 and 2023. Malawian consumers preferred Tanzania goods for its affordability and as well as superior quality, frustrating domestic producers who found it necessary and difficult to compete. Feeling economically cornered and disrespected by these perceived injustices, Tanzania chose to retaliate harshly to protect its farmers and assert its economic sovereignty. The immediate consequences of the ban were stark. A border crossing like Kasumulu, a once bustling artery of commerce between Tanzania and Malawi, trucks laden with perishable goods ground to a halt. Small traders, many of them women, helplessly watched as their bananas, tomatoes, and maize rot under the scorching sun. Reports of harassment, arbitrary arrest, as well as destruction of confiscated goods began to surface, with trucks idling at the border and essential supplies stranded, and tensions were mounting among traders and transporters. Malawi, being landlocked, stood to lose the most. Its dependency on Tanzania ports, particularly Dar es Salaam, for the import and export of vital goods like fuel, machinery, tobacco, sugar, soya beans, made it highly vulnerable. Alternatively, with alternative ports in Mozambique, such as Beira and Nacala, offer routes for trade, they are slower, less efficient, as well as considerably more expensive, a burden that Malawi's fragile economy can ill afford. Tanzania traders, while affected, had more options. They could pivot to other regional markets like Kenya, Namibia, or South Africa, South Sudan, cushioning their impact. Despite the lifting of the ban, the dispute underlies critical vulnerabilities in the regional trade system. Had the standoff continued, several scenarios could have unfolded. Positive outcomes would have included successful diplomatic negotiations, leading to a phased lifting of restrictions and establishment of formal agreements ensuring fair and reciprocal trade. Intervention by regional trades like SADC could have bolstered continental cooperation. On the other hand, if diplomacy had failed, the trade war could have escalated, ushering in broader sanctions, heightened inflation, and economic downturns, particularly for Malawi. Informal cross-border smuggling would have risen, increasing security risks and depriving government of much-needed revenue. To prevent future conflicts of this nature, several solutions are necessary. Third-party mediation mechanisms such as intervention by SADC or COMESA must be strengthened to resolve disputes before they escalate. Compensation mechanism for traders affected by abrupt border closure should be established to protect vulnerable livelihoods. New border trade protocols must be prioritized. Must be prioritized to prevent unnecessary economic and humanitarian cost. On the broader scale, Tanzania needs to diversify its economic exports to reduce dependence on neighboring countries and invest in infrastructure like cold storage facilities at border points to safeguard agricultural produce. Malawi must work to improve the competitiveness of its agriculture sector and establish alternative routes for imports and exports. South Africa, meanwhile, should reassess its non-tariff barriers such as banana ban to foster better regional goodwill and compliance with African trade aspiration. Ultimately, this dispute, though brief it was, underscores the persistent tension between national protectionism and continental free trade ambitions. While governments have a legitimate interest in shielding local industries, they must balance these needs against the broader vision of unified African market. Without careful management, such disputes risk delaying African path toward economic integration and shared prosperity. The lifting of the ban marks a hopeful turn towards dialogue, but it also serves as a powerful reminder of cooperation, mutual respect, and structured negotiation. And this remains essential if Africa is to realize its dream to be borderless economic space. So thank you for reaching this far. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Also hit the notification bell so that whenever you upload a new video, you're notified. You can also leave your thoughts about this ban, although it was short-lived, and the effects it has on trade in Africa. Thank you.